Okay, so this is what I usually do whenever I do a parent meeting. If we're selling it for the first time and these parents have never heard about us, we've never had a meeting with them, the school's never gone with us, as they're coming in, you're handing them these pamphlets, and within the pamphlet is all the information about Global Travel Alliance, but then there's also the sign up information. And depending on how and when everybody comes in, usually by the time you start talking, they have already checked out everything. So you really just want to hit the high points. And I guess before you even get that far, when you're at the meeting, before it starts, you want to talk to whoever the group leader is and say, hey, maybe you'd like to start off the meeting and introduce yourself and talk a little bit about yourself and what you think about this trip, and then introduce me, the global travel person. That's usually a good way to go. But like I said, for the most part, they have checked out all this information. They've already seen the price and that sort of deal. So what they want for you to do is distill this down into brass tacks. And what's this mean for them and their kids? If this is a Washington, D.C. trip, especially with middle schoolers, I always like to start off the meeting with saying, first of all, thank you for coming to the meeting. And just want to let you know that not only is there going to be a fantastic trip in store for your son or daughter, but also understand that we know as parents that you are going to be, concerned. Hey, you're sending your child halfway across the country. So what are you going to do to put my mind at ease about, my kids' safety? So what I always tell them is I always start off with safety. And say, first of all, understand the kind of hotels that we use. Not only are they conveniently located, like it says here in our brochure, but also these are quality hotels. These are Marriott type chain hotels. These are Holiday Inn type hotels. Nothing but the best. And they're not a Motel 6 where they have a door opening out to a parking lot. And then I also lead into that we do hire our own private security for our group. And that's another way that parents can understand that, hey, when the kids are in for lights out, no one steps out, we got a security guard right there that will tuck their head right back in. And also I bring up the point that, hey, we tell the kids, because we do this on every trip, don't open the door for anybody, not if they're in a police uniform, a firefighter, hotel staff. You don't open the door for anybody except a global travel representative or one of your chaperones. And then I kind of leave it at that. And there's some things that you can add to that later on when we talk about group movement and stuff in terms of safety. But that's one of the big ones. So you've kind of set their mind at ease. They're feeling, okay, I feel pretty good right now. And then what I do is I lead into, Washington, D.C. is one of our flagship destinations. We've taken thousands of students there throughout the years, and we've got a great system set up there, from being able to meet with our senators, which if you're from the state of California, good luck trying to do that, but Global Travel is able to do that here for our Montana groups and get that set up. I talk about just a few of the high points of the trip. I don't really go into it a lot because they can read that stuff, they can check it out with their child. I always do make a big point about Arlington, though. I think that's something that really resonates with the parents, and it resonates with me personally too. And you guys that have been there, I'm sure feel the same way. So, you try and pick something that you can really emotionally hook with them and just kind of hit that one. And then I go on after that and kind of lighten it up and say, and also they get to go to a 3-story mall. We give them a little bit of time there to get some lunch and do some shopping, and we get a ride at Subway. So I mean, we talk about some of those things too, and you get to see the White House, and you make it fun that way. And so then after I've kind of done that little pitch about safety, and I've gone over Arlington and then just a couple of the high points in the itinerary, then I walk them through that sheet of paper that is the sign-up process now, and tell them what they need to pay attention to in terms of the chaperone's name. Here's the trip price. This is what's included if it's an all-inclusive trip, which most of our DC trips are, or all of them. Point that out. It's all-inclusive. Everything's paid for, starting with dinner on day one and ending with lunch on day five. Everything in between is taken care of. So if they went to Washington, D.C. with, you know, $20 in their pocket, they probably could come home with $5, depending on what kind of spender they are. Um, so I talk about that sign up process there. Some other things that I talk about with the sign up process. Really make sure that you hit with them that there is a $5 fee for every time they send in a check. Basically, anytime they don't use the internet, it's going to be a $5 charge. Now, I don't know with the places outside of Billings, but I would bet that with the exception of the first sign up, it will be a $5 charge if they don't use the online system. So you really want to hit that and make sure that you don't really want to hit that, but you want to make sure they understand that's the case. Also, the other thing you want to make sure that they understand, it is an all-inclusive trip minus the baggage fees. That's something that we don't cover, in terms of if they check a bag. But especially if it's only a 5-day trip, kids and parents got to understand the kids are really only packing for 4 days. I mean, they're wearing day one's clothes, and then they've got 4 more days of clothes. So I encourage people to carry on, but people can do whatever they want. Let's see, other things. After I've talked about, the safety, the itinerary, I've gone over the sign-up process. After I've gone over the sign-up process, then I talk about the TPP. And I explain to them, hey, the trip protection, what it is really more than anything is that it protects the traveler in 2 ways, pre-trip and during the trip. And I go through the TPP and I explain that to them. And again, you don't need to spend a half hour on it. You just kind of want to give them the high points. It's there for them to read, and they can kind of decide what they want to do there. Probably one of the biggest things to let them know is that they do have 30 days to decide on the TPP, and that's something that you could put into effect. Other things. I can't really think of too many more. I'm going to write this up for you too, but I thought, maybe if you didn't want to read it, and plus I could give you a little bit more detail just kind of talking like this, that this might work out okay. The other thing you want to do is then obviously leave time for them to ask questions. They're all going to have probably sticker shock, like, oh my gosh, this is so expensive. But again, then that's when it's a perfect opportunity to talk about life lessons for kids. Hey, if you really want to do something, it's a great goal setting thing where, hey, I want to make X amount of dollars a month in order to pay for my trip. Or grandma and grandpa say that they're going to give me $50 a month, then that means I need to make $100 a month. How can I do that? Well, I can babysit, I can rake leaves, I can shovel snow, I can save my money rather than blow it. Those sorts of things. So really kind of play up the life lesson type of angle too. I think that's an excellent thing. And I think parents would also identify with that. Like I said, I'm going to type up a couple things, but it probably won't go into as much detail as this. It'll kind of be more like bulleted points. And I'm sure I'm probably missing a few things here, but I'll watch this a couple times and see what else I'm missing out on. All-inclusive pricing. I'll bring up the group website that they get and talk to them about, when they sign up, that they go up to My Trip, and then, the button comes up for register or whatever it is. I can't remember what it is. You can bring that up with them. Just really play up our advantages and that we're in this for kids. We've got a lot of educators on our staff and former educators, and each day has an academic focus. This isn't a shopping trip. Not only are they going to learn academic lessons while they're in our nation's capital, but they're also going to learn, life lessons. Like I said, goal setting, being able to get around on their own. And obviously, if this isn't a DC trip, then you play up another angle along those lines. All right. So if you guys can think of anything else, let me know, and we'll go from there. Talk to you later. Bye. Okay, I watched it a couple times. I'm back. I thought about one specific thing. In terms of the TPP, it probably is a good idea to say something short and sweet along these lines. Okay, the way in which a trip protects you, or a TPP protects you pre-trip, is say it's the day before the trip and kid breaks their leg, and it's such a bad break they can't go on the trip. Well, in that case, then if you purchase the trip protection program, you get a complete refund of your money minus the cost of the TPP and the initial $150 deposit. That's a good thing to tell them so they understand how it protects them pre-trip, or they get sick, or for whatever reason they can't go. But also to emphasize that cancellation must be at least 24 hours ahead of time in writing. Okay. And then the other thing to keep in mind is how it protects them during the trip. And the example I use for this, there's several you could use, but this is just a simple one that everyone can wrap their head around. Let's say for whatever reason we get stuck in Washington, D.C. Okay, there's a freak snowstorm or something and we can't get out. So what'll happen is that night that we're supposed to get home, you'll get a phone call as a parent from Global Travel Alliance saying, hey, just want to let you know, obviously we didn't make the flight, and as a result, we've secured a hotel, we've got transportation in that hotel, we've got food for the kids, and they're taken care of. And if you purchase the TPP program, that's the way the phone call will end. Hope you have a great night. We should be in tomorrow afternoon, if you purchase the TPP. If you did not purchase the TPP, we're still going to take care of your child. You're still going to get the same phone call, but at the end of that phone call, rather than saying night night, we're going to say, and we're going to need to secure a form of payment at this time to pay for that new hotel cost, the new busing cost, and the new food cost. And the reason for that is we can't be held responsible for what the airlines do or don't do. And so that's just an expense that we can't cover. All right, and you can kind of play around with the wording there, but that's the basic idea. So I think that's about it. All right, talk to you later. Bye.